Welcome to another edition of Swim Easy Speed. My name's Tim Floyd. I'm a longtime swim coach and triathlon coach. And today is kind of a special edition, so we're kicking off the Magnolia Masters Easy Speed Pro Triathlete Camp. And, I've run these for about, 7, 8 years now, I think. And we've run them for as long as 3 weeks, and this one's actually short at a week. But basically what we do is we bring in, anywhere from about 8 to 10 pros from all over the country, and they come in and train a lot of swimming for the given period of time, and I take them through a bunch of different things to help them get better and look at their swim training in a little bit different way and how it might fit into their overall training differently than they thought, and help them through getting better at the swim, because it is definitely kind of one of the disciplines that the triathletes and the triathlon community seem to struggle at the most at getting better. And look, there's a pathway forward. Athletes might not always want to hear what the pathway is, but there is a very definitive pathway forward. Like I said, I've been running these for a bunch of years now. And when the pros come in and we work hard and we're all focused and we're doing all the right stuff, everyone gets better. Everyone gets faster, and some get significantly faster over a very short period of time. So there is definitely a pathway forward, and it's fun to kind of talk about it and share it with everybody. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Right now, we're going to look at the first session that I did tonight with Lizzie Nyitray. Lizzie has been into the camp. Her first time was January of 2020, and she's out of Atlanta. She's a coach there and a pro triathlete, and has her team there. And Lizzie's great. She's hardworking, and you really can't ask for anything else from an athlete. Open-minded and wants to learn. So here is kind of the session from today. So here we go. So I'll just let it play, and you guys can watch a little bit, and then I'll back it up, and we'll go over kind of what we were looking at today. Yeah, so the first thing that kind of stands out here is, it's a couple things right off the bat. So, the one thing that you want to look at is kind of head position relative to, where the rest of the body is. So you can see, she really picks her head up there to get that breath. And then the other thing that's going on is you can see how much she rotates on that one side to get the breath, which then kind of introduces that little bounce that you see right there. So you can see the hips kind of coming up and down, and then the hip on the left side doesn't really rotate in line with the shoulder, so it's not as connected as you'd like to see it. So then underneath here, you can see, drops the elbow a little bit there, then really start pulling herself forward till right about there. So, as we've seen in previous videos, effectively what she's doing is just pressing the front part of her body up, and so the back part of her body is going to go down. And, when we're trying to get as long and flat on the water as possible, you really want to find that balance in the water, where, the front and the rear of your body are effectively at the same height on the water. And then on the left, she's pulls in right about there, so starts pulling herself forward right about there. So from there to there, that could have been if she would have been more in a high elbow catch position with her core really connected to those hands when they catch the water. She could have been pulling herself forward a lot sooner. So here we go. We'll go down a little bit more, and then you can see, how low her hips are in the water, how much she rotates there. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. You can get a good view. So you can see from effectively right there to there, that gap in the water from the top of her hips, kind of top of her butt to the water line. That's easily, 10 to 15 seconds, 100. If those hips were, if she was more up on the water. So some of that's core engagement. Some of that's kind of the endless pool, as we've talked about before. Current running over you, it's going to push that back end down a little bit if the core isn't super engaged. But then there's some other things that are going on. We'll see it in this next angle that we watch on the water. So here we are kind of above her. So you can see, how much she's rotating onto that side. And remember, one of the things that we want to take into account is that, we're in this very, very unstable environment in the water. It's dynamic, so it's always changing. We weigh 10% of our body weight in it. We're in a prone position, which is not kind of the position that we were really designed to be in the water. So there's a lot of things running against us. But what we want to try to do is generate as much kind of foundational stability in the water as we can, so that every kind of movement that we make is all about the power we're generating from the pull is getting as perfectly translated into forward momentum as we can get. And so anytime we introduce kind of if the core is not engaged enough, or if, we're in this unstable environment and we kind of aren't as stable as we could be, then that's going to show up in the stroke in other places. That's going to make us less efficient. So, for instance, with Lizzie here, what I want you to look at is when she recovers. So there, and it's a little bit blurry in the back because there's some water on the lens. But here we go. We're going to rotate here on the side. What I want you to do, so she's creating a lot of instability there by rotating way on the side to get the breath. I want you to watch what her feet do. Okay? So you can see right there, there's kind of how wide apart her feet have gotten. And what that's doing is trying to stabilize her body in the water to counteract kind of that movement. So effectively what's going on is she's fighting herself to go forward or to go really, really straight. And then again, you can kind of see here that pick up the head before the breath. But, her pull pattern looks pretty good under the water. It looked like it was a little wide on that right side. So the first thing that we did was we wanted to address kind of some of that non-linear motion that she was putting into the stroke. And so one of the things we can do is just use a PVC pipe and try to get your hands to hit at the same place each time so that your hands are really, really in line with your shoulders. Shoulders are in line with the hips, and it's all connected through the core up and down your body in a very, very straight line with a lot of stability from the core. So you can see here, she's, started to do it. We went through a couple rounds of this, and I videoed each one, and we got, we would go over it each time. So you can see if the first thing that you should see is that, she's still breathing a little bit there, but one of the things that happens is if you notice the feet come together a lot better. So they're not really kind of spinning apart. We use the fins just to add a little bit more stability and then try to force a little bit more core engagement. So you put that extra pressure on the back from the kick. The core is going to have to engage a little bit more to support it all. So here's kind of the difference between the two. So you can see, we're starting to get kind of the first signs of, a pretty straight line from the top of her head right down the center of her body. So right down her spine, which is exactly what we want. And so here was, and her feet are kind of driving the stroke a little bit more. Hips are rotating a little bit better especially on that left side. And then there'll be a side-by-side comparison. So you can see kind of the difference between the two. And look, this is what it's all about. It's about these very, very small kind of corrections. That then what Lizzie's going to have to do is in practice, as we swim over the next 2.5 hours tomorrow, is try to remember to do that. And that is the only thing she focuses on outside of making the intervals. And swimming hard and trying to keep up with everybody. And, look, that's a lot easier said than done. So that's kind of where we're at right now with this first session with Lizzie. And yeah, we're looking forward to a good camp, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But we'll continue to just push the envelope a little bit and see what we can grab over the next week with her. And, because we're going to be working on a lot. It's technique and fitness. So thanks for tuning in. And if anyone has any questions, please let me know.